guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
It's a Scoop Session Tuesday here on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd. Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. Judd Zulgad, the sports dad, already posting up inside the Vikings practice facility 3 hours before Kevin O'Connell's press conference.
Yeah, 66 degrees. Had to drive from SLP out here, all windows down.
Feels
and I
good.
sent you guys.
Can I show the photo?
Of course you can. This is how my car looks right now when I go inside to protect the window. Now, I don't drive like that. That's dangerous. So all the windows go down, but that is what the car... I have now taken to bath towels to cover the window, which will be fixed between 8 and 10 a.m. on Saturday.
What kind of tape are you using? Duct tape to keep
Looks like
it in
scotch.
place? Or?
Good old-fashioned... no, it's masking tape.
Or mask, like
It's masking tape.
So when you park your car at the Vikings practice facility, you then go through the exercise for several minutes of taping a towel and cardboard to your back left window.
The cardboard is out for now, but
Okay.
at the Twins game in Ramp A on Sunday, yes, I stopped, and while people are going to the game, they get a view of Sports Dad taking a piece of cardboard and masking tape out and putting it on the car to protect that side.
this is a prologue to an SVU episode. Like this is how an SVU episode starts: is towels and tape in the perp's car.
For sure.
You are the start of this.
I don't know how the window got broken. Oh, it was a little humid, and then I shut my door.
This was supposed to be an example of what Sports Dad does for the sports kids to get Vikings camp notes instead of saying, you know what, I'll just punt on the week of practice.
Real quick, before
You
we get
are
to
a giver. I've always said that,
try
Judd.
to
You are a
do
giver.
that.
I have two issues, okay? Saturday, you mean to tell me Sports Dad doesn't have a connection or two where that gets fixed before Saturday? So we're sitting here on Tuesday morning. Judd, what the heck is going on? And then
Insurance
Ramp
company.
A, all the connections you have at Target Field, think about September 11th, where you'll be watching the game on September 11th.
No.
I don't know if Judd has a lot of
Champions
connections
Club
in
parking.
Target Field.
I
Like, who parks
inquired
in
about
Ramp A
this.
when you're the Sports Dad.
Dude, I inquired about this because the one thing about the pandemic was we were allowed to use Twins lot, right? Because it's
nice.
like no one's here. And when the pandemic got done, I inquired of, hey, is there going to be any type of parking now? And they're like, nope. So those are my connections. Nope.
You need to talk to the right people, Judd.
Yeah. So we'll get to some Twin stuff a little bit later on here, but let's start with Vikings, Doogie. Now that we are like a week and a half into training camp, JJ McCarthy had a nice bounce back on Saturday after a bad practice on Friday. I know you continue to say, and I think the odds are that Sam Darnold's going to be the week 1 starter. But like that discussion aside, what are the main things that have stood out to you from your own observations and the people you've talked to about JJ McCarthy a week and a half into training camp?
That he is the real deal. I mean, we can at least have the discussion. I wasn't sure 4 weeks ago if we would have a legitimate discussion on August 6th about the possibility of JJ McCarthy, Phil, starting week 1, September 8th at the New York Giants. I think we're to the point where it's okay to talk about it. Now, I'm not as far ahead as some others in town suggesting that, like, hey, like JJ has this, however you want to handicap it, if he's gone from plus 800 to like plus 125 or something like that. I'm not quite there. Like, yes, Sam Darnold to me is still the betting favorite. Something like minus 240, minus 270, something like that. McCarthy more like plus 300, maybe plus 400. But I'm just telling you, 3-4 weeks ago, I would have had those odds like plus 800, plus 900. He gets it. And the fact he bounced back, you're right, Phil, struggled some on Friday, bounces back on Saturday. That shows us enough. You talk to people behind the scenes, the way he is in meeting rooms, the way that he connects with his teammates. There is so much to like about JJ McCarthy. We know it's when the JJ McCarthy era begins. It's not an if, it's a when. I just don't know if it'll be September 8th. But I'm telling you, everything I've heard is positive. There are so many people so glad he landed in purple.
All right, let's deconstruct this just a bit too, because I think there's a few important factors here that probably don't get discussed enough elsewhere. Number one is he looked great on Saturday, and his progression from OTAs, when I thought, oh boy, there's some questionable throws there, to now has come a long way. But he did have a bad day on Friday, and that was discussed. And then it's literally, I feel like from us, it's like, well, if the last practice was good, he's the guy now. But when the practice is bad, it's like, whoa. Do you guys recall when Kevin O'Connell was speaking at that church in Plymouth, and he said, now this was not in relation to McCarthy, but he said, essentially in the previous years here, I have been like the quarterback killjoy, draft this guy. And he'd be like, I don't like him. No. And he said he was the stomper of fun. He was the dad. He was the one that said, I know you want to go out until 1 a.m. on Saturday, but you're going to be home by 11. He is going to, and this is where I think Dukes has been right all along, he is going to have JJ McCarthy's best interest in mind, damn the consequences of week one. And that's why I asked the question at the beginning of the training camp presser when I said, you guys are technically going into the last year of your contracts in a year. And, if there's pressure, if you guys start to lose, what do you do? And both Kwesi and O'Connell's probably the most important voice, said, I'm not going to rush this. It might cost me. I'm not going to rush it. So I think, Dukes, you're exactly right. I think he's the real deal. I love his enthusiasm. I love the fact that he seems to command the huddle, all of those things. But I think we need to be very careful not to get ahead of ourselves by thinking that if O'Connell had a plan in his desk drawer, that he is going to scrap that plan because of good practices. Now, if McCarthy balls out entire training camp, that might change it. But I do think we all need to slow down a bit, because coming off that Saturday practice, you guys, I think he starts probably. I think he does. Kevin O'Connell knows exactly what goes into causing a quarterback to fail and is going to do everything he can to avoid that.
I am starting to think more and more, though, Judd, like JJ is going to be the number 2. Now, hey, long way to go.
Yeah.
But that's something we brought up weeks ago. Makes all sorts of sense now. That somebody is willing to give some sort of conditional pick, but that you can move Nick Mullins. That JJ, you can feel comfortable enough with JJ as the number 2. Now, hey, I don't know when that day will come, the JJ McCarthy era beginning. Heck, is it possible it's not until a year from now? Like, I'm not ready to dismiss that possibility, but I am starting to think more and more, you hear enough stuff, whether it's on the record, on background. Like, I'm not sure what the Nick Mullins role exactly is. And I get it. It's not like he needs all these reps and he's not getting the reps. I understand that he knows the offense well enough. It's fine. But I'm starting to think more and more. Trading Nick Mullins, if you can recoup, you're down draft picks in 25. If you can recoup, even if it's a 7th round pick or conditional, maybe it turns into a 6th, whatever it is, a late day 3 draft pick, that it does make sense to make that move to trade Nick Mullins.
Hey, different subject here. Do we think Jordan Addison will serve a suspension?
Well, I mean, he's got the... Oh, wow. Who's here?
Oh, the old school door. If this was Judd, he'd run behind the couch, cover himself with a blanket, and he would hold his breath.
I would actually ignore it completely.
A ding-dong ditcher? I don't know who the heck that is.
In this economy?
Dude,
don't get it.
Knocking on doors and doorbells. Very, very weird behavior in 2024.
Unnecessary.
Oh, it is. Agree. Although, guilty as charged. Like, because we get enough solicitors, so I should have one of those no solicitors signs.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those. So I guess I'm inviting, living where we do.
How about beware of dogs?
House. Yeah. Well, where's the dog is the question.
Yeah, why don't you freak out?
You should
you don't hear him.
You should never get the door.
Outside. Yeah,
I don't care who it is.
Outside, and I forgot to let him in. I don't know where the heck he is. But yeah, on Jordan Addison. So he has the court date on October 7th. Now, that's the day after the game in London, right? That's a Monday, October 7th. So they play in London Sunday, October 6th. Do I have the calendar right there, Phil?
Yeah, you do. Is that court date in Los Angeles?
Well, yeah, but my understanding is don't quote me on this. Let me double check on this.
He'll just
I have
send
an answer
someone
for you on Thursday that
He
he
won't have to
doesn't
go.
need to physically be there.
No.
Okay.
Okay, Judd, you have that? Yeah, I mean,
No, I don't. But
Yeah.
it's not a huge charge. No. They're not going to like incarcerate him immediately.
It's
so we need to see how
two misdemeanors.
that plays out.
Yeah.
Right, Phil? So, like, I don't anticipate him serving a 3-game suspension starting September 8th, I guess is what I'm alluding to. Now, could the suspension come soon after that October 7th hearing, or, does that get pushed further back with the right attorneys working their magic? And we're talking about a 2025 type suspension. But bottom line, he is absolutely facing a multi-game suspension, but I don't think it's happening. I say I don't think. I don't know this for sure, Phil, but I don't think it's coming in September, put it that way. Certainly before this court date.
If you're the Vikings, in my humble opinion, you want him to serve it this year. I don't want him serving it in 25, because if you look at this receiver depth chart, boys, and look, I mean, JJ and Jordan are special. I plan on being a Super Bowl contender in 25. So I would actually say, get that taken care of. Let's get this done with. If we lose now, we're disappointed. If we lose in 25, it's going to be a problem. So I actually would if I'm the team, I expedite his counsel to get this taken care of so that the league can, suspend him for 2 games or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it might be 3, but even so, you're right. You'd rather have him serve it now compared to a year from now. This will be on the NFL, though. So when you say expedite, is that telling his representation, hey, let's not push this thing way forward? If there's a plea agreement that can be reached as soon as October 7th, just reach that agreement, accept the punishment, and then the suspension will come soon thereafter. How does the NFL react to that? How soon does the NFL get to that? Yeah, I mean, there's some moving parts there. But sure, bottom line, if there was a way, yes, have him serve it this year compared to 25.
Hey, just a quick sort of depth chart observation here. And I'm going off of my own 2 eyes and then Judd's camp notes. And Doogie, you've been at a bunch of practices. But what do you make of Brian Flores and Kevin O'Connell mixing in undrafted free agents from this year's class with the first team defense in some of these drills? I mean, Judd has seen Levi Drake Rodriguez mixing in on that defensive line, first team defense. Gabriel Murphy has mixed in with the first team defense, even Dwight McLaughlin. Now, the cornerback room is just wide open for anyone who wants a job, but interesting that the Vikings are putting UDFAs in with the first team defense throughout the first week and a half of training camp practice, Doogie.
Sure. Now, with Levi, that was when Jerry Tillery went out.
Mm-hmm.
And you look back at your notes, Judd. So, were those legit first team reps, or was it because the Vikings were down a D lineman?
Actually, no. It was also the day before when Tillery was playing. No, he got 2 days of legit, and I'm going to tell you right now, that's a motor that doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's accurate. That motor goes vroom vroom, giddy up.
LDR,
Correct.
Let's go.
And hey,
let's get it.
There's an opportunity, right? I mean, they have bodies, Tillery, Jonah Williams, right? But there's nobody that screams, okay. I mean, that's why we've talked about whether it's a Kenny Clark or somebody else, that's a position you target next March, that there is an opportunity. I know that Jonathan Bullard has been around, had a couple pop moments last year, but again, just a body. And so, sure, the late round draft pick, Levi, has a shot. McLaughlin, I'm telling you, legit. And he played, both at Arkansas and LSU. I mean, big time college football. He's got a chance. Then Gabriel Murphy, we talked about him last Thursday, but I'm telling you, even privately, the Vikings are just raving about him. I don't know how he doesn't make the 53 man, because I don't know how you would get him through waivers. And so to me, I mean, if you want to make the comparison, he's this year's Ivan Pace Jr. I don't know, especially if you watched UCLA against Colorado last year, any number of games, but how he didn't get drafted. That one is the ultimate head scratcher, but lots of good vibes about Gabriel Murphy. Short-term injury. So all these injuries right now, short-term. I just checked on Robert Tonyan, making good progress. Okay, maybe not quite ready to go, but that's not something I don't think we'll be talking about 2 weeks from now. Jerry Tillery got cleated. That's not a big deal. And so, so with Gabriel Murphy, also a minor injury. He should be good to go today. You should see him out in the practice field this afternoon.
Could we be potentially looking at when the 53-man is set at the end of camp, more quasi UDFAs than draft picks?
From the last 3 years?
From his classes. So like when you're talking about, because the 22 draft, I think Booth is done. I think Scene is done. Could we be talking about more bodies from the undrafted free agent signings?
Ivan Pace, Andre Carter.
Murphy.
If he I don't think Andre
Murphy.
Pace, or I don't think Carter's making it.
Okay.
He's right on the edge. What about like Najee Thompson, right? Undrafted free agent.
They've signed some really nice UDFAs.
But it's you think about close. Draft picks. I mean, Brian Asamoah, Caleb Evans.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison. Levi was a draft pick, right? He was a late round draft pick.
Seventh round.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you look at that. You look at the other draft picks from this year. They like the offensive linemen that they drafted. Like, I've heard good things. So, now, I don't know. Maybe you can sneak one through waivers. The kid from Wake Forest, the kid from Oklahoma, interior offensive lineman, tackle. But, yeah, I think it's probably more draft picks. But still, it is impressive. Like, McLaughlin has a chance to stick. Murphy, for sure. Pace Jr., yes. Najee Thompson, yes. So it's sort of close, but the answer will be more draft picks.
Do you get, what's funny about UDFAs? We don't give as much credit, I feel like. Like, we kind of give credit to GMs, but then at the same time, we're like, well, look at the players that you identified as draftable that failed, and then you got lucky stumbling into these UDFAs. So, like, how much credit do we give a general manager for uncovering Ivan Pace Jr., Gabriel Murphy, even though they didn't use one of their 3 days worth of draft picks on those players? It's kind of a weird evaluation exercise.
Well, I mean, to me, you give the Wilfs or Andrew Miller, somebody who says, yeah, go ahead and give that player hundreds of thousands of dollars to secure his services. Like Ivan Pace Jr., the Titans and Jaguars tried really hard to sign him. The Vikings had to win a very quick, not only bidding war, but recruiting war, right? So you're leaving it up to chance somewhat, right? Gabriel Murphy had many offers. I can track down who specifically, but I know he had enough. I know Ivan for sure. Ivan told me that last year. It was Tennessee. It was Jacksonville. I mean, he darn near ended up in Tennessee. It was really close. And so I don't know, right? Like, yeah, dollars matter, but also opportunity. I mean, if you're Ivan Pace, you looked at the linebacker room last year, like there were a lot of things that pointed to, okay, that's a good situation. Now, if you're Gabriel Murphy, okay, they draft Dallas Turner. They sign Jonathan Grenard. Is there a pathway? But his representation felt like with a pre-draft visit and all that, hey, like, we like it there. The infrastructure's in place. They sold him on a vision. Gabriel told me the other day that all the homework he did on a Brian Flores type defense, matching up with his skill set, like there was a lot to like. And so he felt like, hey, like, you have to be realistic. Maybe it's initially practice squad. Now, again, like he's been splashing so much, even going back to rookie minicamp in May. But as you're looking at it post-draft, though, you're like, okay, where can I stick for at least a little bit, then fight my way onto the main roster? But initially you have to be like, okay, can I stick on the practice squad? Let me get those paychecks. Those paychecks aren't bad to be in a practice squad. And everything Gabriel looked at was, hey, like I can do that in Minnesota. So I don't know. I mean, it comes down to recruiting. The Vikings do a good job recruiting. Their scouts, lay the groundwork. Heck, they have scouts at all these college practices right now. Like the groundwork is well underway for the 2025 draft, right? You start establishing these relationships, and next thing you know, post-draft, you can sign a few of these guys. But I don't know how much credit you get when, you've got these 6th, 7th round type draft picks, and maybe they're not hitting, but then you hit on these post-draft guys. But I guess when you're talking about, Phil, the totality of a rookie class, it's part of it, right? So to me, it's more about just it's money and it's opportunity. I mean, heck, trust me, these players pay attention to the NFLPA survey that says, hey, the Vikings, just everything about being a Viking, comparatively speaking to the rest of the league. It's really, really good. Everything that entails TCO Performance Center, just everything, right? And hey, if the money is close where the Vikings surpass what somebody else is offering, these guys are going to jump on the Vikings offer.
Real quick, Judge, it's one more point on this. What's crazy to me, though, is I know these are two different drafts I'm going to compare, is the tens of hundreds of millions of dollars across the league that go into the entire player scouting process and the combine, all the tape and all the people that put eyes and ears and hands on this process, right? And the smartest people in the world at evaluating 21 and 22-year-old football players deem Andrew Booth Jr. and Lewis Cine to be first and second round picks, and Ivan Pace Jr. to be undraftable. He's not draftable. And yet Ivan Pace Jr. has a green dot on his helmet during mandatory minicamp last summer and becomes one of the better starting linebackers in recent. I would say he was a top half of the league, maybe top 15 starting middle linebacker in the league, according to like Pro Football Focus. And these other two guys I just mentioned, not to keep piling on them, are going to be cut from the team going into their third season. Like, it's wild to me how inexact all of this can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is very inexact. It is wild. I mean, could you imagine if Ivan Pace Jr. was another 3 inches? Right? I mean, that was size.
Second round pick, right?
Probably. I mean, he was an All-American at Cincinnati. Cincinnati football doesn't produce All-Americans. The Bearcats just don't. You know, all due respect to Travis Kelce and what have you. Like, they don't, okay? He was an All-American, but he's undersized. So, like, you can spend all this time, and you know deep down he's a good football player. Now, was that a situation where all these teams knew, okay, undersized, we don't need to use a draft pick, let's pursue him right after the draft. So let's try to, day 3, bet on some measurables. Okay, that kid has, you know, whatever measurables you want to look at from a combine standpoint. Let's bet on that athlete. Let's use the draft pick on that good athlete, the good football player, because he's undersized. We know he's not going to get drafted, so we'll sign him right after the draft. But I'm with you, right? Andrew Booth Jr. played enough at Clemson, on national TV all the time, on a national championship contender. Plus, he had age on his side. Like, wasn't he about the youngest player in that draft class in 22?
He was one of
upside.
them. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At least it was viewed as there's a lot of upside there, a lot of untapped potential. But sure, I'm with you, Phil. It is. It's nuts.
Well, let's slow down a second, though. They ain't that smart. They listen to Ed Donatel. Okay, so like they claim to be. The problem too is this league is full of copycats. So now, like, pace of success will change the philosophy. The guy I credit a lot is Flores. He's the guy. He easily could have said, "Ivan Pace can't play yet," right? Instead, he stuck him on the field, as Phil just said. Green dotted him, so he became incredibly important. Now they've got Carter and Murphy, and it appears that, you know, Flores gives everyone a chance. But if you excel, you play. And if you don't, you don't. Like Brian Flores, the best part about him is he doesn't give a damn about 2 things. One is the offensive development of his team. He's rushing these. He's stunting in practices. JJ McCarthy getting no breaks. I'm sure O'Connell privately, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, right? After practice. Can you bleep and, you know, lay off at times? And Flores is going to say no. And the second thing is
sharpens iron.
Yep. And
I don't know. You think so, Jed? I'm not sure. Yeah,
dude, O'Connell again said last week, well, the defense has their little calls, but I mean, how hard is that? No, there's a constant.
If he really didn't like it, he would put a kibosh on it, though. He's the head coach.
I think he agreed. I
don't think he minds it.
Well, I think it bothers him sometimes because he definitely wants to get work done that can't get done, but good on Flores. The other thing is Brian Flores doesn't care who they've drafted. So, like, Kwesi's got some, you know, skin in the game, right? Lewis Cine, first-round pick. Hey, he's not doing good. Brian Flores, I don't give a damn. I don't care. Andrew Booth is at the bottom. Lewis Cine and Booth are at the bottom of their respective depth charts right now. So do I think that Brian Flores is a defensive savant? Absolutely. Do I think that I'm sitting in a building full of unbelievably smart football people? Yeah. Don't forget, O'Connell has told them before, we're not drafting the quarterback that you want. Why? Because O'Connell understands more. So, like, that's the interesting thing here. You often have probably too many cooks in the kitchen, and not every cook is qualified to be in the front of the house or the back of the house. They should probably just be sitting at a table.
Well, that is fair when you think about too many cooks in the kitchen. I mean, you got Ryan Grigson's fingerprints all over these draft classes. You got any number of national scouts, the Jamal Stevensons of the world, right? Any number of lower level type scouts that are, standing tall for some player that they've seen a few times, right? I mean, you have varying opinions. And I have a hard time. I mean, Kwesi always says immediately post-draft, we've come to some sort of consensus, right? Collaboration, this. Hey, we're all on the same page, that. I'm not convinced of that. And, hey, that's not unique to this regime. I mean, that's going back a long time. I just don't think there's universal opinions on a lot of these guys. There's a lot of disagreement. Put it this way. I have a hard time believing everybody was like, let's go get Lewis Cine. Right? They felt like Tampa right behind them was going to gobble him up. I don't know. I mean, hey, reckless speculation on a Tuesday, but I'm not convinced everybody over at TCO was all about that first pick in 22. Let's go get Lewis Cine. I'm not there.
Hey, before we dig through the rest of Doogie's scoop bag here, a couple shout outs. So we have a big, fun event planned. I should say a medium-sized event planned because only 100 people are allowed inside the doors at Padres for the party at Padres. I believe half of these spots are taken as of yesterday. We started talking about this. The party at Padres in Minneapolis, an exclusive Purple Daily podcast recording to celebrate our new partnership with the Sports Dad's new beer company here, Padres. SKORNorth.com/party. This is going to be on August 14th, right? So a week from tomorrow, party at Padres. It's a happy hour event, only open to 100 people. You must sign up. It's free. SKORNorth.com/party. You must be 21 years old as well, but come cheer some Padres, get a special custom pint glass, and hang out with us. Also, the Minnesota Twins play baseball in a beautiful ballpark, and the weather looks like it's turning for the rest of the week here. So once they come back for maybe the biggest series of the season this weekend, you can get tickets to see Twins and the Guardians at twins.com/tickets. 612 Saturday, $6 beer, $1 snack, $2 foods. It's also Kids Day on Sunday, Sunday Kids Day, Sunday Fun Day. Twins.com/tickets. Doogie, what's left in your scoop bag for us?
Well, I'll be there on Saturday. Saturday is my guy Terry Ryan Day, right? Twins Hall of Fame.
And Stelly.
Correct. Yep. Rest his soul. But yes, like Terry specifically, I just didn't have a great relationship with Stelly, right or wrong. I just didn't have it. With Terry, one of my favorite people. Doing this now, 27 years? I mean, just rock solid. I love Terry Ryan. So that will be fun on Saturday. Hey, when they check you out on the 14th, they can see your new window, right?
It's going on Saturday. Of course they can.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and I'm sure there'll be camp notes as well, Dukes.
Yes.
Judd's camp notes will also. I'll bring camp notes here with me. So me and my best friend camp notes.
All right. Well, speaking of notes, I saw your musings the other day. Big fan of
Substack
Judd's notes. Yeah. So you brought up the name Michael Lorenzen. Why didn't the Twins make a move? The Royals gave up just about nothing for Michael Lorenzen. My understanding is the Twins were not interested in Lorenzen. They were not interested back in free agency. I mean, Declan, you probably know the numbers better than I do. He's pedestrian. There's just not a whole lot there, right? So I get it. Like the Twins were like, he's not much of an upgrade. Now, the guy I thought they should have gone after, Trevor Rogers in Miami, they were not in on him. I thought he would have made sense. At least try to go down the road a little bit. They didn't. But on Lorenzen, I saw that note, Judd. There wasn't any Twins interest in Lorenzen.
Depth in starting pitching at the back end should have been the goal.
Yes, agree.
Like if you don't understand that, then I don't know what you're thinking about.
We agree on that. Yes, but just not Michael Lorenzen. To me, somebody else.
For nothing.
I would have been in on Rogers. They were in on Fetty to some extent, figuring they could either move that contract.
But those are all higher prices, Dukes. That doesn't make sense. You don't have to love a guy to bring him in for the rest of the year on a prorated portion of a 1-year contract and have him around. So if Sims starts to struggle, which he has, you've got depth. I was never saying go out and get a great play. I was saying you need more pitching depth potentially. Why not? You don't have to love it's literally a baseball version of a one-night stand.
Well, I mean, I would call up Zebby Matthews, and I get it. On the surface, the numbers stink so far.
He has not struggled, though. He hasn't
but
walked anyone.
Good amount of swing and miss.
It's
I'm
like
telling you.
It's like
I'm
a
not sure
500
Lorenzen is
BABIP.
better than Zebby Matthews. I'm really not.
Well,
Zebby Matthews is an amazing case of if you dig beneath the surface in those 3 starts.
Yeah.
His BABIP against, which I'm getting in the weeds here, is like almost 500. He's getting like bad luck, batted, balled to death. He hasn't walked anyone in 3 minor league starts. He's throwing it over. The strikeouts are there. I'm like he has like a 7 ERA. It's the weirdest statistical gap in what his numbers should be versus what they are. And I trust his strikeout to walk and swing and miss stuff for sure.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, 3 AAA starts. I was at his CHS Field debut a couple Saturdays ago. He only went like 4-ish innings, give or take. Induced 15 swings and misses.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, when he was hit, he gave up some loud contact after the first inning. But I'm just telling you, like, if you're the Twins, who cares what I think? I think the Twins look at it like, hey, if we do need a starter, if Simeon Woods Richardson continues to struggle somewhat, Zebby Matthews is an option, right? At least better than Lorenzen. But they tried. Judd, they absolutely tried on some guys. I don't think they tried hard enough. So that's where we can offer some blowback. Trust me, they should have tried harder. But specifically because I saw your note on Lorenzen, he just wasn't on their radar.
Doogie, great stuff here today. Wonderful performance by you, dealing with people
so?
ringing your
All right.
doorbell.
I know.
Distractions.
Kyle Farmer. Remember the name Kyle Farmer? Nope. Shoulder injury, Declan? Trying to remember.
Something like, I mean, he was gone for a week after the All-Star break because he couldn't get a flight and he was getting hammered at airports. But I shouldn't say hammered. Having fun at airports. But yes, he has been, I believe, still banged up with an arm or a shoulder issue.
Yeah, so he's ready for a rehab assignment. So the Saints are home this week. So that might make some sense. Although, heck, when he's ready to go, what am I missing on an opportunity? Like, I'm not sending Brooks Lee down. I'm not sending Austin Martin down. So I'm a little baffled where the Kyle Farmer opportunity will come. Heck, I'm sure the Twins are baffled as well. But anyway, word is he's about ready for a rehab assignment. And Justin Topa is ready to go. So it's just a matter of when the Twins want to make that move, because there's some moving parts there, right? I mean, he hasn't pitched for them all year. So would they have to activate him, Declan, from the 60-day?
They'd have to activate him.
So, yeah, so there's some stuff they would have to do there. But Justin Topa is good to go. The reports from St. Paul are thumbs up.
Darren Doogie Wolfson. Some inside information about your favorite Minnesota sports teams.
Are you bummed you weren't at the Anthony Edwards party on Sunday, Phil?
Very bummed. Yeah, I saw there was like some the AE1s. Those are his shoes, right? An AE1 birthday cake that looked delicious. I saw Alex Rodriguez made an appearance in Paris at the birthday party. Flew in. It's funny. He's still pushing forward like he is the owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I'm here for it the next 6 months.
Correct.
A-Rod, who, by the way, I think
it's going to be like another 6 months.
It's amazing. I mean, the hearing's not till November now, and then it's going to leak probably into January, but by the time holidays and the Board of Governors. What I love is I think A-Rod is on the back end of like a 2 or 3 week yacht trip with his close friends and families around, I don't know, some European waterfront areas. And then he just parks that yacht over in the Paris area, hops off, and goes and parties with Anthony Edwards.
He's living the good life.
Yep.
God love A-Rod. The Marcus Morris interest is there. I mean, it was there back in March. That was a report from a reporter from the Philadelphia Inquirer. You know, Marcus grew up in the Philadelphia area, so I trust that reporter, you know, having that relationship going back a really long time. But, like, the Cavs can offer him more. Other teams can offer him more. So I don't know why Marcus Morris would choose to come here for the minimum when he can make more elsewhere. But there is interest. I mean, heck, that interest goes back to March.
We'll follow that. We will monitor the situation at the back end of the Wolves roster. Darren Doogie Wolfson, folks. We'll see you Thursday, Dukes.
Bye, dude.
Okay, sounds good, boys. We'll talk on Thursday. Reckless Speculation Thursday. See ya.
You damn right we will. All right, Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd. Also, I want to mention, too, real quick before we say goodbye, we are giving away on the SKOR North app a glorious 75-inch Roku TV. This you can just go to the SKOR North app, and if you haven't already, you can register. It's free to download, by the way. And you just go into the listener rewards portion, and you can maybe get your hands on a 75-inch 4K Roku TV. I'm mostly buzzing through my Roku menu to the Peacock app every morning to watch random obscure Olympic sports that make Judd want to puke his guts out. But yeah, we're giving away a 75-inch Roku TV. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd for a Write That Down session.